Well, I am a former mortician's assistant, so this is home for me.
There we go. To be up at the dead of morning.
Yeah.
I should have been. I really should have looked into being a mortician or just owning a funeral home. Everyone is dying to get in the funeral business,
and we're the last person to ever let you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Come on in. Have a seat. The chat is open. The comments are live. We're not sure about the participants here. We might not be awake. Trish is in the house. Says good morning, everyone. Good morning, Trish. Thanks for being there this morning. I need to switch my Facebook around. I got a wonderful notice from Facebook this morning.
Uh-oh.
I posted and this is it was actually a joke to start with, but I posted a meme of a toy on a card, vacuum card, on a peg on the wall of a coronavirus, and then there was a circle underneath it that said made in China. And Facebook sent me a false flag notice this morning about how bad I'm spreading misinformation.
Oh, wow.
You're a monster, Randy.
I am.
I take it. Spreading information. I take it. Misinformation. I take it. They've never seen the show before. They
never even looked at my meme. I'm sure it's like, it's a freaking toy. It's a goddamn joke. Come on. Did you actually look? And they're giving me all this information about the bug. I'm like, come on.
First out the window, sense of humor.
Yeah.
Well, some good news for you, Randy. Right now, you're talking to 33,000 people live. So
wow.
Already?
Numbers in this morning. Yeah. Quite early.
You wired up the equipment early.
Oh, yeah.
Russ, I'm looking for you to send you a link. There you are. All right. Just in case you want to come on this morning, Russ Leach is in the house.
In fulfillment.
The more the merrier. Yeah, in fulfillment on his book, Only Death Can Save Us. So
yeah.
I thought I'd interrupt his afternoon if he wanted to come on and tell us how great it is to be putting together packages.
I know, right, Terry?
Terry says, who let Brian K. Morris in the door? Good morning, y'all. Oh, Paul, yeah. Have a great day. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for listening.
Standards have slid around here, Terry. You know what I'm saying?
Terry, if you haven't seen how bad our standards are, all of our Sunday Funnies are archived over on our YouTube channel.
And we never discuss what we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah, we never talk about the topic.
No.
Glenn asked this morning when he came in, "What are we going to talk about today?" And I says, "Whatever. We never follow a set topic anyway. We start talking about one thing and we end up way over in left field talking about something else. So just bring them on and start talking. That's all we got to do.
As long as it's comics related, that's okay.
That's exactly right. Go. Comics related.
Well, that's something I found when I started doing interviews that I noticed for a while I wasn't answering the question. I was answering the question I wanted to be asked. So.
That's like a politician.
I'm not taking that kind of talk for you, Glenn. You take it back. Take it back. Talk.
I find that I sometimes ramble, especially when I'm trying to think of things to say. They won't upset people who are listening. Like, how do I talk my way out of what I just said? Yeah.
Terry says he'll be sure to check that out. Okay. We are going to run the opening because we haven't done that in a while, at least at the start of the program. And we'll introduce ourselves. Mr. Russ Leach also just entered the green room, so we have to bring him in quickly before he tries to taste the coffee. So he takes tea anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Tea, right? That's tea you're drinking?
Yeah, anything with caffeine in it. Yeah.
Anything with caffeine? Okay. Here's the opening, everybody. Hang on. Here we are. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
What's so good about it?
Thanks for listening in to this episode of the Sunday Funnies for January 24th, 2021. So, somebody's talking.
Oh, sorry. My daughter's in the room with me, so I'll mute my mic while I'm not talking to you.
Okay. All right, Russ. Want to thank everybody for listening. We're already, 33?
33, actually 34, 212 right now.
34 deep. We appreciate each and every one of you listening to us on Indie Volt Radio. My name is Randy Zimmerman. I am a longtime alternative and independent comics producer, creator. Been doing this for literally decades and love comics. My passion is comics. Real happy to be here. I also do the Zim Geek channel on YouTube, ZIMMGEEK, and I'm part of the Indie Volt Radio Network. Ran and owned by Mr. Varian Grant, who's right next to me here. Varian, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everybody out there. My name is Varian Grant. Like Randy said, founder of Indie Volt Media LLC, and I voted most likely to get hit by a car. I'm an artist, I'm a geek, all that good stuff, and also very much lately an insomnia sufferer. I can't sleep, but I'm not tired. So no one's saying, yeah.
This means you're getting older. That's all.
I wish I could not sleep and work because I don't have enough time.
Yeah. This insomnia stuff is it's working on me.
Just watch the hallucinations. That's all.
Yeah. Well, that's the entertainment. To my right is Mr. Fleming.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Go on. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Glenn, introduce yourself.
My name's Glenn Fleming. I'm an English graphic designer, artist, writer, and publisher. I've written and published books on many different subjects, 2 books on JFK assassination, 2 science fiction novels, 2 children's books, a book about World Cup football, which is called Soccer over there, I think. 2 years ago, I wrote and illustrated a fictionalized account of my dad's experiences on D-Day when he was a paratrooper with the British 6th Airborne. That was to mark the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I've got a long time interested in the space program and wrote a book about the NASA astronauts who didn't go to the moon. I also like to travel, and I published a book about my trip to Rapa Nui or Easter Island, 200 pages complete with my photographs and some stunning stuff in there. Absolutely brilliant. You know, the island with all the statues and everything. They're all available on Amazon. But currently I'm publishing Comics Unlimited, 100-page bi-monthly magazine about comics, and I'm working on 2 more science fiction novels, a couple of plays, and a travel book about New York.
That's what happens when you can't get to sleep.
That's right. And then 2 years ago, I released a DVD about my 2 visits to Jack Kirby's house, which I'm releasing an update an updated version next month. So if anybody's interested in that, they should get in touch with me directly, and you can do that via Facebook or Twitter. I'm not on there much, but the best way to reach me is comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com.
It seems all of the sane, calm people aren't on Twitter very much.
Yeah, it's strange, Twitter. I don't know. It's an odd place. Odd place.
Yeah.
Twitter. I agree with that.
Twitter is where I get most of my trouble.
Yeah, keep away from it.
Yeah. Also with us this morning, we had him out as a special guest last week, and I think he liked it so much he came back this week. So we have Mr. Brian K. Morris. Brian, good morning. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, Randy. Thank you very much. And now this week I'm a not so special guest, I guess.
Yeah,
so anyway,
Fez is a call.
I know my role. I'm a writer and publisher. I've published comics. I write for other people. I also do books, and I'm also I'm starting to call myself a Facebook famous YouTuber. In that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have an interactive talk show called Nevermind the Furthermore. Tuesday nights, we have Clever Title Pinning, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. We have all kinds of wonderful people that we interview on there, such as Randy Zimmerman's on a past episode. Glenn Fleming will be appearing soon. And don't be surprised if I get in touch with some of the other members of this panel. Varian, now you have something to aspire to. Mm-hmm. And I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm sort of on Twitter because I have the occasional fondness for dumpster fires, and I'm and after listening to Glenn, I just feel like I've accomplished nothing. I suddenly am humbled. I really am. So anyway, thank you for having me on the second week in a row.
Thanks so much for coming
on. When I'm here.
Yeah, we appreciate you dearly. We do.
Thank
Also with us this morning to talk about his work and the wonders of fulfillment, it's Mr. Russ Leach. Russ, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Yeah, I'm getting through it.
Introduce yourself.
I'm a comic book artist and freelance illustrator and storyboard artist from the UK. I've had lots of different lives. And my latest life is drawing comics. I've been drawing comic books in anger since 2010. Prior to that, I had a brush with Marvel, but we won't talk about that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, hell yes, we will.
That's today's topic.
So right now you can find my book in demand on Indiegogo, which is this book, Only Death Can Save Us.
Yep, there you go. Sorry.
And you can also find other books I've done. There's a rather lovely fellow in the chat called Mr. JD Rosario, and he has a Kickstarter out at the moment for Interceptor, which I don't have a copy of in front of me, but I did the first half of that book as well. That was great. It was by Brandon Easton. Excellent book. Really, really enjoyed it. And it's got some of my artwork in it as well. So check that out on Indiegogo at the moment.
Cool.
You can also find me on the Twitter. Because it is a bit of a dumpster fire and there are a lot of twats there. So that's why I call it the Twitter and the Fleece Book. And you can also find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. Please come and subscribe to the channel. There's not a lot of content. There is a lot of content on there, but I've been away from the channel because of my latest book and bringing it to fruition and getting it out to everybody. But there will be lots more content going back up on there next month. So get back in, subscribe, and get that going. I'm also over on the other multiple outlets on the internet that you're probably not allowed to say anymore because I get everywhere. So just try and find me wherever you can find me. I'm on the normal places.
You on 4chan? Just kidding. No, I'm just
4chan.
You're on YouPorn too? Wait a minute.
No. Those places are the dark places that I tend to stay away from. I try to stay in the light, but
Yeah.
I wanted to bring some everyone's attention. I know that Russ is in the middle of fulfilling. Well, our poor indie princess has been trying to get an order out, and she can't. Here's the package. Standard, what's the size of this mailer? 9.5 by 13.75. So not very big, for scale's sake. Very light. It's gotta go to the UK. It's gotta go over to England, Surrey, Mersham, Surrey. About an hour or so from Russ.
Probably an hour from Glenn too.
Yeah. $200.
$200.
$200.
Get a plane ticket.
So yeah.
Will England even let you in the country though?
Probably not.
Yeah, they probably won't let me in.
They won't let us out. They're not going to let you in.
Yeah.
$200, and she's been very upset about that ever since yesterday. And I just thought I'd share that.
Jeez.
Yeah, shipping rates have gone absolutely haywire here in the States. Just absolutely insane, especially outside of the country.
They're very light.
The service has gotten worse too, to make up for it. So
yeah.
She's gonna try again. She's gonna try a different service Monday. Try to get it out because
Pony Express. Try that one.
Yeah, Pony Express. Yeah.
John Wayne.
Shoot it out of the cannon.
Yeah.
Pigeon. Try pigeon. Carrier pigeon.
There we go.
Let's see that work.
Yeah. She was very upset. She was like, I can't afford $200 to send this package off.
Wow.
And yeah, so I suggested we have a friend that works at FedEx. I'm like, look, let's see if we can get a discount or something. Yeah, it's do you care if people know the contents? It's actually
you don't have to get into that.
It's I see trick.
This is the Sunday Funnies program, and I know how you work, buddy.
Yeah.
That's a trick.
You'll have to be careful though. It's not Tom Hanks on his FedEx trip.
No.
That was a deep cut there, Glenn.
Yeah, that's
Quite a good film though. Watched it the other day.
And Mr. Russ had to step out for a second and come back in. He said he's got a bad connection. So.
We're also going to have
Mr. Eric Hudson.
He's going to join us from Otaku Fest. His first con he's been to in a year.
Oh, wow.
And,
Where was that at?
Miami, Florida.
Oh, okay. No, it had to be in one of the free states. So.
Yeah,
that's what the division now is being called, free states and everybody else.
Yeah.
Under restrictions.
I know Trish is listening. She said, Trish, I messaged you what it is inside the package. As a matter of fact, speaking of which, I think that is Mr. Dreaded Dinosaur knocking on the door now.
Depending upon his connection.
Yeah, let's see here.
That's Russ.
Yeah, there
Russ
he is.
Back.
Dreaded Dinosaur.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
All right. Eric is a little muffled for our radio audience for a reason. He has a mask on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
probably pull it down. There's like virtually nobody in this room because we haven't opened yet. It's
okay.
It starts till 10 o'clock right now.
Wow.
So it's your first show of the year. First show you've been to in a year.
Pretty much, yeah.
How is it? I want to get the full report from you Tuesday, but like just
Well, yesterday was really good. I was a little worried for the first couple of hours, but people started to funnel into the artist alley room. This con, it's divided into two rooms. There's the exhibitor hall and artist alley, and sometimes it doesn't work out too well for one of the rooms. But fortunately for me, yesterday it seemed to work in my favor as I sold out of a lot of stuff behind me. I just finished replacing some with some new displays. Had a really good first day, so I'm really happy the people running Otaku Fest did a good job getting people here. I'm told that most tickets were sold out. They had like a few single tickets that didn't sell out, but all the group passes and buddy passes and all that was all sold out.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty good crowd, and everybody is being as safe as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's wearing a mask. Obviously, there's hand sanitizer at every table. I've got some at mine, and it shows that yes, you can run an event post-COVID.
Yeah, I understand that there is I was looking at some Otaku Fest stuff that they're getting your temperature when you come in. Yep. And if anybody in your group has a temperature of 100.4 higher, the entire group has to leave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so far, I've not heard that happened at all. So
okay.
I think people who know that they're not doing so well aren't coming. So.
Yeah.
Eric, if we all had our haircut like yours, we'd all be bald.
Most of us already are, Glenn.
That's what I mean. That's on the side.
Speak for yourself, gentlemen.
Give it time, Varian.
Yeah.
Give it time.
Only a matter of time. Yeah.
Rand, did you have a question for Eric? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. No, but I was just going to say, Eric, we'd like to have you back on Tuesday for a full report.
Oh, absolutely. I would be more than happy to.
We appreciate you being on today, just to let folks know that things are and can get back to a level of sanity.
Yeah,
and routine where we can have conventions again as long as everybody's safe and careful.
How long is the convention on for?
What's that?
How long is the convention on for?
It was a 2-day event, Saturday, and then today it's 10 to 6.
Right.
So yeah, today's your last day, and then you're hopping a plane back home tonight or tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, all right. So yeah.
I got
Thanks,
to
Eric.
check in for my flight after the show. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. I want the show hasn't opened yet for him, but he's at a Comic-Con, everyone.
Yeah. They're selling stuff.
all
Yeah,
right,
go
everyone,
ahead.
have a good rest of your show, and I will see you all on Tuesday.
All right, Eric. Thanks for the report.
See you, Eric.
Appreciate it. We'll see you. Take care. Have a
Cheers.
great show. Rest of your show.
Thank you.
That's great. That's like having a roving reporter on the show.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. All the way from Florida, folks. That was Eric K. Hodson giving us a report. He is at what con?
Otaku Fest.
Otaku Fest. Yeah. First time I heard that, I said, "Oh, food."
It's
They probably have a line of otaku trucks outside.
Eric did get harassed a bit on Twitter yesterday though.
For being there.
Oh, was that the screen cap you sent me?
Yeah.
You're killing us all.
Yeah. But at least he's there, and he hasn't done a show in a year, so I'm excited to see a show. Maybe we'll get a couple more. Those smaller shows.
Well, here in Michigan, we've been under really hardcore restrictions. I'm not sure how it is where you are, Brian, but I know England right now is shut down. Right, you can't go anywhere practically. But
Practically,
yeah. And the wife and I guess I should admit, I enjoy going to the casinos, and up here the casinos have had safety cautions almost since the first. They were down for a couple of months when the restrictions first started, and then they did research, and they assure everybody they're taking the biggest or the most safety precautions that you can take in order to maintain everybody's experience. They haven't had a case of the virus on at any of the casinos in the area that I'm aware of.
Nice.
That they've reported, but they check you. They check your temperature coming in with an infrared scanner. They make sure that everybody has proper masks, not just the bandanas over the nose, but you have to have a full medical mask on that covers the mouth and nose. And they frequently tell people to be safe. And they have cleaners that go around after people are done cleaning the machines, making sure that everything is as sanitary and sanitized as possible. But it just goes to show you that you can still go out, you can still have a good time under these conditions. You just have to be cautious and aware of everybody else.
Right. I was at a show in October in Kokomo, Indiana, a good sized show. And Kokomo, the county they're in here in Indiana, has had one of the higher rates of COVID in the state. Not as bad as three other counties, which were, like larger concentrations of population. But the same thing with what Eric was describing. Dealers and customers alike had to get their temperatures taken. Yeah. And proper masks were, or face shields, were the order of the day, and the promoter would get on the PA system and tell his volunteers, make sure everyone is wearing their mask properly over the mouth and the nose. Yeah. And at one point, it sounded like he had gotten a little pushback from it because at one top of the hour, he was telling his volunteers, "Okay, guys, it's time to make that mask check. Be rude." And I'm like, I feel great. This is awesome. And plus, they made sure that there was a table between each table for the dealers.
Yeah.
So, although dealers, the vendors and guests, we have a better chance of controlling our environment because we can take a step back or two. But just the same, the fact that the promoter was looking out for everybody in that building, was fantastic.
So I'm always amazed at the people I see in the supermarket wearing it like a beard or not covering the nose. What's the point? It's like they're making a token gesture.
Yeah.
I'm sure Russ will have heard about this. I mentioned it to Randy earlier about those two girls who were arrested for driving 5 miles to go for a walk in the park. Did you hear about that, Russ?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it got overturned, didn't it? By the judge overturned it, said it was ridiculous. They got fined £200.
And he was.
Yeah, for driving 5 miles to walk in a park.
Yeah.
Well, it could be
Unfortunately,
worse.
we're in an utterly ridiculous situation where bad decisions have been made, and
Yeah.
politicians are now trying to cover their own backsides, and in the process, they're screwing the country because they don't have to worry about whether they get paid or not. Yes, there is an epidemic. Yes, it is a problem. No, it does not have to be done in the way that they are doing it. It's a blunt instrument. The WHO have said it's a blunt instrument. All they're doing is killing people. They're killing more people than they're saving, to be blunt. They're idiots. They're all public school twats who have been told they're supposed to run a country, and they've been put in a position and now are incapable of making any decent decisions. There you go. I'm waiting for the police to come around now.
Oh no, WHO has already said restrictions is the worst thing that they can do because it cripples the economy more than the virus ever could. Terry Friedel asked, Terry Friedel asked, do you plan on doing a Comics Con this year if conditions are favorable? Terry, I've already been informed that no matter what, conditions will not be favorable, and that there was all sorts of different conditions and restrictions that the market wanted to do, and I don't blame them because it's for safety. So we've postponed the Comics Con for another year. We'll be back in April of 2022. In fact, I've already got the date scheduled, and I'm looking forward to it. But this year, we're going to set out this year again, just for safety's sake on everybody's part. The wife has a damaged immune system. The daughter just had a baby. And we just don't think, plus my schedule has been a little crazy. So we don't think that there's going to be enough time for us to do the show. So we made the decision to not do it this year and just postpone it for another year when hopefully life will be easier and a little bit more back to normal. Thanks for asking.
We should also be careful to note that frequent celebrity guest Varian Grant also has a damaged immune system, and with that show without me is just
it's a show.
Yeah.
It's just a show without you.
Yeah. I've only missed one Comics Con, one of Randy's shows in since he's been doing them, and I sent my wife and my son.
Now that's because he decided to do another show.
So I sent my wife and my son, and my son cleaned up. Yeah.
Yes, he did. He had a little table section and was offering drawings and made bank. Yeah, it's all good. We're going to go back to the chat now. Trish had a weird question. So weird question to start the day, to get the day started. Writing a script and doesn't have the same feel from paper to computer. Does that happen to you guys? She's writing a script and she's writing it on the computer and she says it doesn't have the same feel as writing it. Well, I guess it wouldn't because you're feeling paper. But any comments, Glenn or Brian?
I don't write a script. I would do thumbnail sketches first. I'd have the story in mind, and I'd do thumbnails for it, and I would put bits of dialogue on those thumbnails. Then I'd draw the pages up, and then I'd script it later. So I probably wouldn't touch a computer to write it. I only use the computer to write books.
Yeah, and I found it a lot easier to do it on a computer because I could. Because I was writing all my stuff in cursive. Remember cursive, folks? And at least I could read it if I put it on the computer like 2 days later. And erasing errors is a lot easier on it too, because you just do the little, put the white out on the screen. It's like it doesn't even exist anymore. So it was actually easier for me. It was an easy adjustment to make. Prose was harder. I used to write all my stuff out in longhand and then transfer it to computer, but I switched to strict computer for my first draft just to save time. And now I'm so used to that, I don't know if I could go back to the other way, but it's just an adjustment thing.
When I wrote my first full-length novel back in 1976, that was all handwritten, and I had it typed. I had somebody type it up for me. It was I still got it. The actual pages from that. But it was never published. But it's all there. But it's a thick volume, all handwritten. I must have been crazy. I think it took me about 4 months to handwrite the whole thing.
Wow.
And this was listening to Elton John and David Bowie under earphones while I'm doing it at night, driving my parents crazy, and I could have typed it out, but I'm not that fast a typist. I do pretty well now, but then I wasn't very good, and I got somebody else to type it up, along with their mistakes.
It's hard enough. Writing all the custom slips out by hand. They're only my name and address.
Yeah. Somebody put that on computer. I'd pay money for that.
You're handwriting everybody's address?
No, just my own. You have to fill out a customs sticker and put it on for people who are out of the States. No, everybody's label. Actually, it's a rather nice. I've put death on the address label, so you got only death could save us and comic book black belt, and then there's any chance you got to advertise, use it.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Yeah, those custom slips, and now you have to know the other person's phone number. Like
that happens as well. Yeah,
and like so when you go in there to send that stuff overseas, I've sent some books and Lola sent some stuff out that's been like, and you get in there and they're like, we need this information, that information, and it's not moving without it. So
that probably explains why I keep getting all these spam calls all of a sudden.
I said to the guy in the post office this morning, I said, I've got to write all these custom slips and they have my name and address on them. Can I use my PO box address? And he went, well, he said, I suppose so. He said, why would you want to do that? I said, because it's my address. Otherwise, I'll be putting my personal address on the front of a box. And he went, oh, well, it wouldn't be a problem, would it? And I thought, you haven't got a clue, have you? I'll talk to someone else tomorrow. you obviously just take all your bank letters and go, oh, I'll just chuck them in the bin. It'll be all right.
Terry says they're also under lockdown, 6-week lockdown here in Northern Ireland. And Joyce, we've got a few creators we're going to send over for you guys from Inked Marketing, just trying to check who is available on which dates. Oh, is that for conventions? I would be very cautious about that.
I think he's about for the show.
Oh, for the show?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Terry's talking about some on my shows.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll have to get a hold of those guys.
Yeah, we can.
But you're welcome to come on Sunday Funnies as long as as long as you don't talk politics or about this bug. We're just fine. And now we're all talking about this politics and this bug. We're supposed to be the lighthearted, whimsical show.
I'd like to bring up religion now, if I could.
Oh yeah, that would be great. It is, after all, Sunday morning. Yeah. Where most of us are.
Okay, here's your God.
Yeah, there you are.
I do have a question from Indie Vote Radio.
Do it.
It is related to the classic comics.
Okay.
Good.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, classic. I should say classic comics artist. Okay. So this one here is from Jeff, and Jeff says, I was at a Comic-Con about 4 years ago when I heard a dealer laughing about his exploits as a teenager, buying work off of Golden Age artists for a song, and now selling that same artwork for double, sometimes triple the price. This is really sad and shows you the state of the industry. And a lot of those artists didn't have, didn't have money and had to sell their whole entire life's work just to pay their bills. Sometimes we don't think about that. Like, we walk past somebody who's got a huge collection of original art from these legendary artists, and we don't think about how they, you're thinking like, oh man, I can't believe you must have paid a fortune for this art. But sometimes they caught those guys, in a rough patch. Or maybe I'm wrong. I guess Glenn, you would know a little bit about that. I know you talked to Jack, but Ross protecting him from a lot of that type of exploitive practice.
Yeah, he did mention that, and he said that back in the 40s, nobody was bothered about the artwork, and it went in the bin, or they gave it to people who wrote letters. things like that. So it's only a new thing. It's all relative. It's like if you take somebody like Van Gogh, one of the best known painters now, and allegedly one of the best artists. I don't rate his work, but that's just me. But he didn't sell a painting in his lifetime. I think, maybe his brother bought one, but that doesn't count, does it? If your brother buys one. But he never look at his flowers, whatever it's called, the sunflower thing. How much is that worth now? $100 million or something. Yeah. So it's all relative. So if people are throwing all that stuff in the bin in the 40s and not really interested, I don't think they can complain that they sold it for $10 and now the guy's getting $100. I don't think it's all relative, I mean, it's a shame. I can see it from both sides, because I can understand why they would want that money, but they sold it. They agreed to spend it to sell it for $10, and now I'm going to sell it for $100 now. So that's life. That's life, isn't it? It's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's an indicator of the collector's market too, because those pieces, and even all the comics that folks would buy for a dime that are now worth thousands of dollars. Yeah. It's all a matter of perspective of when you picked it up and the value of the book or the piece of art at the time that it was sold. Those guys who sold that artwork was probably real happy because they were able to pay their bills, but they had no idea that things were going to jump, that the collector's market was going to leapfrog the way that it does, especially on original art.
That's right.
That we all knew, Kirby knew that the art was worth something, and he knew that what he was doing would eventually become billion-dollar movies. But nobody had that kind of, very few people had that kind of foresight, or the idea of how valuable and important the work was that they were doing.
It's like I said, it's all relative. It's like your house. You buy a house for X amount, and it's only worth what somebody will give you for it. Yeah. In real terms. So
that's exactly the phrase I was thinking. Yeah, as an artist, I think there's two things. So, for instance, I've funded my own, crowdfunded my own book. That's my property. That's my IP. If I go to somebody else who's got a book and they ask me to help in the design of their character or whatever, it's still their character. I'm just getting paid for the art duties.
Yeah.
So, if then those characters become worth a huge amount later on, you can't say, oh, that's all down to my art. It's probably likely more down to the way that they've been marketed and the environment they're in.
Yeah.
Well, and also think about, it could have gone the other way. I mean, 500 years ago, people probably were having this kind of conversation over tulips, if you know your history.
Yeah.
At one time, tulips were like gold as far as an investment. Then somebody woke up one day and said, "Hey, wait a minute, these are flowers." The world's lousy with them. But I think
first global financial crisis. Yeah,
exactly. But it's part. I think it's also not just what the market will bear, but also something that I've noticed in the last few years that we've gone mainstream. And thus, more people are interested in the culture that spawned the big movies, and it's law of supply and demand. A lot of people are saying, "Oh man, there's original art to be had. I want that," and suddenly the demand goes up. It's I agree. I agree with Glenn that I see it from both sides. But how many of us have sold comics like say 10 years ago that we see the prices for them now and it's like, oh man, I wish I bought another one of those sort of things. So it's there's no solution to this one.
But it's the same with I think John Byrne touched on this in the 80s when all this thing was going around about the original artwork and copyrights and all that kind of thing. When Jack Kirby was doing Captain America with Joe Simon in the 40s, he wasn't thinking it was going to be worth anything past publication date.
Yeah.
And neither did Martin Goodman or whoever it was who published it, all that kind of thing. But that's the sticky part where now it is worth something. Everybody suddenly wants a piece of it. Yeah. But John Burns said that he could see it from both sides, and I agree with him when he said when an artist and a writer create a book, then they get paid for doing those pages, and then the publisher pays all the money for the printing and the distribution and all that kind of thing. And when that book sells really well, they've already been paid. Byrne and the writer have already been paid. The they're not taking the risk that the publisher takes, because if that book sells none, do they give their money back?
Yeah.
So I can see both sides. You can see both sides of it, really.
Very true. Yep.
And it's same with the Beatles music when they didn't know what they were doing. It's well documented with their songs. They created Northern songs, Lennon McCartney, and then they gave and Brian Epstein gave it to can't remember his name now. They get the publishing guy, the song publishing guy, and he made an absolute killing because he got something like 50%. Dick James music. Dick James. Right. He was out on his belly. He was going bust, but he was a friend of Brian Epstein, and Brian Epstein knew how to publish songs, so he just gave it to them. And Lennon McCartney were picking up millions of pounds, but Dick James was picking up tens of millions of pounds. You know, and somebody says to you, you know, like, I think it was the Sex Pistols. Their manager gave them £10,000 each, you know, 40, 50 years ago, which is a lot of money, but he was pocketing 10 times as much. Yeah. You see what I mean? So people are, but if the Sex Pistols hadn't been so successful, they wouldn't have got that money in the first place.
I know with the Beatles. You mentioned that Michael Jackson came along and bought their publishing.
He did,
yeah. Great moments in Black history, by the way.
Well, the irony of that is that Paul McCartney told him to do it, because I think the story is that Jackson had just been paid his multi-million-dollar check from Thriller, and he asked Paul McCartney what he should do with his money, and McCartney said, "I've just bought Buddy Holly's songs. Do that by publishing." So, and then the next day, so to speak, Lennon McCartney's songs come up for sale, so he bought them, and leaving Paul McCartney really pissed off because he didn't get a chance to get his songs back. So Paul McCartney doesn't own a lot of his own work that we all know and love so much, you know. But that's the way it goes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Another question. Did everybody answer that one?
Yeah. And answer what one?
Did everybody answer the last one? Weigh in on that last thing about?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out last week I ran across an article where the highest piece of comic art apparently in the world now is a rejected Tintin cover.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
3.2 million.
Right after the article was posted, is it Ranker? One of them did a video on the title said it said the horrible real life creator behind Tintin, the horrible lifestyle. It's like, wow, it's like, hey, he's making money, or is his worth something? Let's destroy him. You guys have been dead for years.
Yeah,
let's destroy him. Yeah. Let's cancel his corpse.
When he can't defend himself,
yeah.
Some people aren't happy unless they're tearing down.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Your question.
Okay, so this one here is also from Indie Vote Radio. Obviously, it's from Indie Vote Radio. This one here is from. He didn't put his name. It just says "RU." So Rue. Rue says, "Hey guys, quick ethical check question. He says he wants to roll the ethical dice with us. He wants to do an ethics check. His local comic store had to shutter after the pandemic stretched on in the fourth month or so. They actually had bought a storage unit in the facility that he works at. They can no longer afford that storage unit. He's thinking about buying it when it comes up for auction. Is this ethical?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, a collector's market. If it comes up for sale and there's something valuable there.
Look, people, you know, things happen all the time.
Yes.
You have, you know, earthquakes, bank runs, all kinds of crap. You know, like people have to continue once that's gone. So you have to go and do the best business you can. You're not preying on those people. Things have happened. Yeah. So you have to go and then make the best of it. Because if we all make the best of it, you know, everybody rises with it. You can't be, you can't sit there and go, oh my God, those poor people have you know, been taken out of business. I must be poor myself. It's just not. It's just ridiculous to think that way.
Also, two things I'd like to point out. One is the shop that rented the storage space. It was probably in his contract that this was a contingency.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he's getting, or she is getting, blindsided by this. And the second thing is the alternative would be to destroy everything that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think buying it and putting it back into circulation somehow, I think that's, I don't think there's a moral conflict here at all. If nothing else, you know, yeah, you'll probably make money on it for sure. But by the same token, you're also making sure that pieces of Americana and this great culture of ours, creatively speaking, exists and other people can enjoy it.
And if your conscience does bother you, there's nothing wrong with you going to the person, especially if you've known that comic shop and you know that owner, and tell them that you're going to give them a percentage of the sales off of that work, you know, 50% or whatever, because you know that it's theirs. Oh, you're like, oh no, that's just being generous. You know, that's if you don't have to do that. But it's a great thing to help your brother out, especially if he's had a comic shop for years and he can't survive because of the pandemic. It's like, hey, I'm going to buy this storage locker. We're going to move these comics. I'm going to keep half. You're going to take half, and you're going to get your bills paid. Where's the harm in that?
Just remember as well that, you know, we're talking comic shops in particular. That the pandemic was the straw that broke the camel's back.
A lot of them.
Not the only thing that has damaged comic book shops and the direct market in the last 30 years. We're not even talking about the barrage of useless comics that have been out in the last 5 years. We're talking a long time back. So, you know, don't feel like this is all, you know, taking advantage of a terrible situation. The terrible situation has been going on for years.
Yeah. When you mentioned giving a percentage of the sales, my inner Reagan just would not understand that. I just
well, also consider that if you don't buy that storage locker is going to go up for auction, and whoever breaks into or buys that storage locker is going to be more predatory than you, and he's probably not going to know the actual value of the contents inside. So you're better off buying it and sharing it with the person than to have some real predator come in and take the boxes to a flea market and blow them out at $1 a piece.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's a flea market near me.
I guess I can understand that. I mean, you know,
and remember, having that opportunity is probably what I would consider kismet, and it's landed in your lap, and here's your opportunity to make a good turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll probably gain a friend for life.
If I bought a box of comics off someone for whatever, and Spider-Man #1 was in there and all those sort of things, I don't think I'd share it. I didn't know they were in there. I paid the price they wanted, so why shouldn't I have what was inside?
Well, there's even been episodes of American Pickers. It's a big program here in the States of guys that go around and scrounge through people's junk piles, where they found like a Amazing Fantasy 15 or a Spider-Man 1, and they've gone, well, you said you only wanted, you know, $10 for this box, but I'm actually going to give you a couple thousand because I'm going to make a lot of money off of these books. And,
but then they'd know, wouldn't they? They'd know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
This one is from the next question is from an officer. He can't reveal his name. Because he's an officer, but he wants us to tell us a quick story. He says he responded to a call of a domestic situation.
I hope this is comic related.
It is.
Okay.
He got to the home and a father and a son were engaged in fisticuffs. the son, who's 15, has been stealing the father's comics, graded comics. These are like
Slab books.
Slab books, and trading them to a local buddy for marijuana and whatnot. We're talking about stuff like first issue of Fantastic Four.
Oh
wow!
That's an issue. That's an issue in parenting.
Original Killing
That's
Joke.
an issue in parenting. Sort it out.
Yeah,
that is straight up theft.
Yeah, well, this is the officer. He said he actually had to take the father in for a couple of hours to get him to cool down because he wanted to kill his son.
Justifiable homicide.
Man, I don't think any of us could have arrived to that call. So you.
It's amazing. It's amazing the kid was still alive.
Yeah.
By the time the officer got there, to tell you the truth.
Could you imagine the judge? Now, Mr. Smith, why did he kill your son? Because he stole my amazing Fantasy 15. You know what I mean? 100 years, without parole.
or he might be like, well, I collect 2. Okay, you're free to go, sir. We apologize for wasting your time.
Yeah, you can imagine a judge. Like, you got to get a sympathetic judge who understands. Like, it was
all you got to do is knock that down to $1 value, and the judge is going to understand immediately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because I when I was managing a comic shop, I had a guy come in who had been in Vietnam. He went in 61, came back around 1969, and said, he collected from 61 to 69, had a complete set of Marvels. And read them once, put them away, sort of thing. Also collected the proof sheets of stamps, the uncut, uncanceled stamps that you get directly from the post office before they're sold to the public. Well, he went into Vietnam, did a couple of turns in Saigon, came back in the mid-70s, and asked his wife, said, "Honey, I'm home. I'm not going to be in the Army anymore. I miss my comic books. Where are they?" And she goes, "Oh, I gave them all away to the neighbor kids." And of course he was crushed. I feel everybody clenching now, and that gets worse, believe it or not. And he goes, "Oh my God, well, and even then they were still worth some money." And he goes, "Well, what about my stamps?" She goes, "Honey, remember all the letters I sent you?" And he told me, he said he came this close to cold-blooded murder. And I've told that story, I don't know how many times in the last few decades, and I've only met one person who said that would have been wrong. Everybody else said I'd have unloaded a clip in her right then and there.
This might be unrelated to the conversation, but Terry says you hang around with Varian or with this lot, Varian, it won't take too long.
I was referring to the hair comment. Yeah, when I said I was.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Florida has several going on this weekend, last weekend and this weekend. Do you plan on? Well, that we already covered that. Marv's in the house. I'm here. I've made it. Hope you're doing well, Marv. Hello. Sorry, it's taken us so long to get to these comments, but you know how it is when we get talking. Good morning, Teresa. Teresa Dunn says, "Good morning, all."
Morning, Teresa. Morning.
Terry says the guy in England that drove over 100 miles for a McDonald's.
That's just wrong.
Wasn't me.
It was a big tasty. I think it was a big tasty.
It was a big
There
tasty
are reasons.
I walk to work every day.
He's an idiot for doing it.
Yeah. Trish says she walks to work every day and still
quit.
Yeah. Still carries her letter from work saying I'm essential, so no problems.
Yeah, I've been following a YouTuber who's a lawyer in Montreal and said not only are they in a lockdown similar to what Russ and Glenn are going through, but they also have a curfew at night. You can't go out after 6 p.m., can't go out again till like about 5 or 6 the next morning, and it's a total lockdown. They will arrest you if you're doing anything but going to get like something from the drugstore, going to a hospital, or walking your dog. And you have to have
because we all know COVID. We all know you're more likely to get COVID at night, especially after 10 p.m.
It is nocturnal.
To throw everybody out. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nocturnal here in this
Without
state. They won't allow the bars. They're allowing the bars to open finally on February 1st, but they have to close at 10.
They
Because-
banned drinking alcohol in Wales. They actually banned the drinking
How
of
do-
alcohol in Wales.
how
And
do
then
you
over
enforce
Christmas,
that?
they found four Welsh MPs drinking, and they got photographs of them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's one rule for thee and another for me, I think.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as always.
That's because they never went through prohibition like we did here in the States. They know better than to ban any kind of alcohol around here anymore. Even the liquor stores were deemed essential during the lockdown.
And they are.
They are.
Funny, I haven't gotten more work done, but I'm drinking a lot more.
There's that great quote from Al Capone, isn't there, about prohibition when he said that when he serves a drink, this is what, 1927 or something, when he serves a drink to friends, he's breaking the law. But when the president serves it, it's hospitality.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
Marv said I had to do a Bernie because I thought it was funny, but how and why that became viral. I'm from Portugal, so yeah, not a problem, Marv. We when anything goes viral, we all wonder how that happened. What they did, somebody took a picture of Bernie at the inauguration, Bernie Sanders, and he had a mask on and big fluffy mittens and a big thick coat because it was cold in Washington, and folks found it funny to start sticking him in different places.
I did too. That was the graphic for my show yesterday.
So now, if you go on,
I saw one last night,
go ahead.
and it was Bernie in front of the table, change my mind table. So Bernie was behind the table, sitting there, and on the sign it said, "I should have been the president of the United States. Change my mind." But of course, you can't find that anywhere on Google. So.
Yeah.
My favorite, sorry, Rand, real quick, but the classic Janet Jackson pose where she, kind of sepia, where she's got her arms up and she's topless, and there's a big pair of fluffy mittens grabbing her breast. That's my favorite one so far. Okay, back to your show, Randy.
Sorry to get political, but the slogan now is Biden won the election, but Sanders won the inauguration.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's. I made one. I made one of those Bernie memes, and I made it for Eric. He took a picture of his table, so I did that.
Oh yeah,
I put Bernie at Eric's table.
that's great. That's great.
I told Eric, I said, "Hey Eric, I just got a picture of your table. Apparently, everything on the table is free. Everything."
even that Spider-Man #1.
Yeah.
That's okay. My Friday show, Bernie was advertising it. I put a fez on Bernie.
Did you?
There you go. Terry says, I have a few artist friends that I'm constantly telling they undervalue their work, and yet they do struggle to sell for a cheaper price than they should accept. That happens.
Yeah. Excuse Studios. Jody McPhee in the house. Hello.
Jody McPhee in the house. Good morning, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Marv says, I wanted to buy old comics, but the price. Comics should be available to everyone. That's why they do a lot of reprint books, Marv. So you don't have to fork over the big money for the low printed original comics. We were at my retailer yesterday, and the wife was wanted to know why Hulk 181 was so expensive.
Did he have it?
Yes, he did.
Oh.
Slabbed.
Oh.
At
How much is he asking?
9.4.
Ooh,
He's asking 11.
I can never understand why anybody does that slabbing thing.
He has it in a case with a lock. Yeah.
Okay. Crazy.
I don't understand it for new comics, but for old comics, like I've got a couple of Golden Age comics that I'm actually looking at slabbing simply to preserve them.
You should see mine. Mine from 1965. Falling apart.
Oh, so are mine. I
really
I sell
falling apart.
the comics I bought when I was a kid. Chipped them off the walls and everything.
I got a couple in the rack that are in rags.
Oh yeah,
Old Golden Age Crime Does Not Pay and some old Whiz comics. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got some Human Torches and a Captain Marvel Jr.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's mine's like that too. I've read the hell out. My Thunder Agents are in tatters.
Yeah, I've got a few of those too.
There's one.
Oh
There we
yeah,
go. That's a classic.
that's a beauty.
That's the original one I bought from 1966 or 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's all yellow, and look at that.
Oh, and Glenn, I think that
Hang
is
on.
gorgeous.
We're blowing that up.
I really
There we
do.
go. Yeah.
I think it's gorgeous because it means you've loved it.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
whole key. Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's all nice and yellow, you know.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, with that wonderful aroma that comes off the pages.
Yes. That wonderful newsprint smell that turns very in stomach.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that I have some comics from the '90s that I can that are starting to get a little worn. Oh yeah, look, Russ is out. See, I go back and buy old comics like that, but
Oh
Well,
yeah,
fantastic.
nice one, Russ.
Yeah,
Nice one.
yes.
There we go. Yeah.
I understand the 10-cent marbles are what you want.
Yeah. Some other old stuff. Ooh.
Probably really the 12-cent Marvels. Well, I don't know.
There's a few tens. There's a
FF1
few
was 10
tens.
cent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All depends
Good
upon the
stuff.
title.
No, those old comics aren't worth anything. Oh my god,
No,
kids
no.
throw them away. I'll buy them
I
off
got
you
it.
for double the cover price.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one. This one's good.
Oh sweet.
Wow, look at
That's
that.
nice. For me to
Is that is that Aunt May doing that one dance? Look, she's doing that dance where the kids lean there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aunt May has been,
leave this.
somebody needs to
Put me
check on Aunt May. She's been abused throughout the years. Somebody needs to check on her.
Which version?
Well, yeah, right. Because that's. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
This is
which version do you want me to abuse?
this is the one you all want. See that one?
I got
Oh,
Now
Look
watch
at
this.
that.
Watch this.
I
Watch
know
this.
it's coming.
The cover comes off.
that. Oh, there you go.
look at that.
Yeah, that's the one we all want.
oh wow.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a bit serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
But
And that's
it's a bit messed up though. But it's not. But I think that bottom line's very nice.
Now,
Yeah.
did Jack sign it when the cover was off?
Say again.
Did Jack sign it when the cover was off? Or did it
No,
come
that's come off since.
okay.
but that's gorgeous, man.
Yeah,
It is.
Seriously.
I've got. I mean, you guys are gonna lie, but I got my Stan Lee and Michael Turner signatures over there in my little cabinet, and the Michael Turner stuff. I like those signatures. I got Todd. I got Jim. I got Randy's signature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's important. That'll be worth some money.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that was all good for radio listeners, wasn't it? That was New
Yeah.
God's #1 signed by Jack Kirby.
Oh yeah, thanks, Glenn, for thinking. Yeah, you should have said something.
yeah.
We were just in awe of the signature. That's all.
We now have 16 people listening on Indie Vote
Yeah.
Radio.
Probably. Sorry, guys. We still do appreciate you, even if we cut you out of the
We do.
conversation too much. Yeah.
We love all 5 of you.
What's our radio number now?
Go.
I can go over there and look, let me probably drop down now.
Radio number is 5.
No,
You have 5 guys in Peru that still love you.
no, we're 37802. 37802.
We still we love and appreciate all of you.
all
guys.
those. Yeah,
Right.
they should all go to YouTube now and subscribe to the channel, and then they'll be able to see what
See
we're
that?
doing.
Yeah.
That would
See
be
that
great.
great battered copy of New God's #1 with a Jack Kirby signature on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your best autograph, Rusty? Do you
Like
collect?
Glenn, you should frame that.
Yes, you should.
I would frame that if I could.
I think
I would actually take the cover off. I
Yeah.
would take the cover off,
right.
like it's already come off, and put
Yeah.
the two of them side by side in a frame. That would just
Oh,
yeah.
That would be.
I'm thinking I should sell it and enjoy the money. I tell you,
or sell it.
Let me show you this. Let me show you this
Uh-oh.
that you all wish you had.
Okay.
I'd buy that New Gods off you, Glenn,
Look,
but
don't-
I don't want to pay the postage.
Yeah. Probably.
Oh, look at that. There's
Oh,
There we
go.
yeah. Nice.
That's a photograph of Glenn when he was younger with Jack Kirby himself. So
very
Th-
cool.
th- now
That's cool.
That is very cool.
And I could Photoshop myself in there really easy.
Yeah.
And Bernie.
Yeah, and Bernie.
Jack drew with these fluffy mittens. That was the secret of his ability.
It's great. You don't know how to draw a kid until you can draw with fluffy mittens on. I can see that.
I take these things off. I can only do 2 pages a day. Now,
There you go.
Question from Indie Vote Radio. This is for everyone who writes. I mean, I never wrote for anyone. Well, I wrote scripts. I've wrote scripts for other people to do, but I've never, no one's hired me to write a script. But this is from Chelsea. Chelsea says, "Hi guys, long time listener. Quick question. I approached a gentleman about writing a script for me, and he told me because of his busyness, his rates have increased. He now is looking at 50 cents a word. Is this a standard practice for how to price scripts? Or am I being taken? Any advice is I appreciate it. Thank you, Chelsea."
Brian and Glenn would probably know more about that.
50 cents a word. Even prose novelists don't get 50 cents a word. That's in my opinion, yes. In fact, in the past, most people, when they did get paid for writing comic scripts, which is not a standard practice either, even after all this time, which I can vouch for, but you get generally paid by the printed page.
Right.
So like if you write a 10-page story, you are going to have your single page rate times 10. Somebody like Alan Moore had to be losing money because he would describe everything in microscopic detail for a 23-page story, but he only got paid his page rate times 23.
How many comic pages?
Based on the printed comic page. 50 cents a word. Jesse James rode a horse. That's the kind of thievery that I think is going on. And if he can't get anyone to, I'm just, that's 50 cents a word on the comic script. Hell, give him my email address if he'll pay that.
Russ.
I was just going to say, yes, definitely get in touch with Brian or Glenn and have them write something for you. But other than that, there are groups on Facebook where you can go and connect with writers and artists, and people will team up with you. And if you're looking for some kind of the prices will obviously vary, but there are plenty of people there that are keen to work together, and maybe then the two of you can go off and crowdfund the book or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And see how that works. As long as it's the same with everything, whether you're getting artistic services or writing services, you make sure that there's a contract between you right from the word go. A lot of artists will say, well, I'm not working unless I get a page rate. So, all you writers out there, you can go sing. Either you put the money down because you believe in your work or not, but that's a harsh way of doing it. A lot of the time, artists and writers come together, they both believe in a project, they sign a contract together, and then they go out and do it. So there's lots of places that you can get together with other people.
I wish I was paid 50 cents a word for what I do. I'd only have to do it once.
Maybe that's what the writer was thinking.
We're missing out, Glenn.
We are, yeah. I've got something like 1 million words in print, so I've missed that money somewhere.
When I started IndieVote, I looked at indievote.com and I looked up. I think at the time it was Gawker was still around. They hadn't been sued into oblivion by Hulk Hogan yet, but but they he sued the shit out of him. I'm sorry. But I we joke about people being sued but they really got sued. Wow. But I looked up how their rates were, and I think they were doing 3 cents to a nickel a word. And and then some of the lesser sites were I think 2 cents a word. Some of the lesser, because they had a big, network of sites, and because I was trying to figure out how to do my pricing. So I remember that, and so but they're 50 cents a word. Could you imagine how wordy that script would be?
I remember doing
It would be Chris
research.
Claremont.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember doing research on War of the Worlds and running across the fact that H.G. Wells, who was the top-notch writer back then, of the most recognized futurist of the day, was getting paid a penny a word.
Mm.
And if you ever sit down and read the War of the Worlds novel, there's all sorts of indiscrepancies and fact alterations from the front to the back of the book. The book's in two parts. The invasion and then after the invasion, because Wells had a girl across town, and he kind of padded the book a little bit so that he could afford to keep her in a place.
And that penny would be the
At a
old
penny a word.
the old D rather than the new P. Pound, shillings, and pence. You probably don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So it would be a really nothing sum.
Well,
Yeah. So that the 50 cents a word, outrageous.
yeah,
Excellent.
the scary thing is, if you go through a Writer's Digest or the Writer's Market annual book every year, you'll see that the rates for prose in that, from the days of H.G. Wells has not improved dramatically.
Not really, no. Yeah.
Exegesis Studio says that is weird. Sounds like it is normally per comic page. Sounds like you're getting taken. You are paying $5 for a 10-word sentence. Not cool at all. It's a grift.
It's definitely a grift.
What Joe said.
Well, somebody doesn't want to work for them. So
Yeah.
50 cents a word, that's just outrageous.
You ever heard those don't use those $5 words with me? Well,
Yeah. Exactly.
Indubitably.
yeah.
Am I right in believing that Chris Claremont has a private jet?
No.
Right. Okay. I'm going to say because that's what paid for it.
Yeah.
But right now he's getting paid not to write. So last time I knew that contract may have shifted when Disney came in, but
Oh, wow.
he was being paid not to write.
Sit down.
Wow.
Nice work if you can't
I'm
get
still a little confused. Why is he being paid not to write?
Marvel didn't want him to go over to the competitors.
Yeah, he went over to DC briefly in the 90s.
Yeah.
And
But they don't want to use him.
Chris has made Marvel a lot of money over the years. So
Yes.
So they didn't want him to go to DC, but they didn't want to use him either.
Ah,
That's right.
Well, he's
bizarre.
on call. They use him every once in a great while, but not very often.
Wow.
So he's paid. He's actually paid every.
And I'm not sure if that contract is still in existence, or even if it did exist, it could just be urban legend.
No, 2 years ago. What? Go ahead, Russ.
That's not value for money. It's not value for money, is it? Because
It is for Marvel.
They're not selling that many comics anymore.
Yeah, 2 years ago,
surely they would
No.
sell maybe 250,000 comics if they got him in and actually did some good writing.
Yeah.
that documentary.
And then they'd be paying him for an actual job.
that
Mind blown.
That Chris Claremont documentary they have. I think he admitted to it on there. That that was his contract.
I almost watched that the other night too. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it now.
He's paid to sit on the sidelines and do nothing right now.
Well, I know Byrne offered to do a new X-Men book for Marvel that would pick up right at 136 and would be his version of the X-Men. And they told him that they weren't interested at all. So he started doing a page or so a week on his website, on it in pencils that was all lettered. And it's quite frankly the best work he's ever done in his life. The stuff is incredible. And there have been a couple of pirated collections of that out, and it's called X-Men Elsewhere. That literally picks up the story that instead of Jean Grey sacrificing or getting killed and the Dark Phoenix saga, the Shi'ar come down and they take the Phoenix spirit out of her and take that and leave Jean Grey as about at the mentality of a 5-year-old. And then they take Jean Grey back to her parents and say, sorry. And then
we broke her.
Yeah, we broke her. And she needs time to be fixed. And we have to go off and fight the Sentinels. See ya.
That sounds good.
Would you guys be okay?
Oh, you should see the artwork on comic, not the endorse another site, but Comic Kayfabe broke down the first volume of that book, and it is pretty. I don't know where I'll ever find a copy, but oh my goodness.
Wow,
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Marvel, again, is idiotic to not just to have told him no, but at this point, not to have seen the stuff and said, John, just stop. We'll pay you, let us print the stuff, because it's not only is it pretty, but it's probably the best thing that he's ever done.
Wow, that's great.
Wow, that's got to be worth seeing.
Oh, it is. It's he's got it over on his website. He doesn't, he can't make money on it. It's fan fiction. I mean, money on it. It's fanfic. It's what they label it. Wow. So he's been doing it for he's been putting up a page or so a week, I think, or a day, the last couple of years. There's quite a lot of that material.
I have to look for that. Thank you. Sounds good.
Yeah, if you figure out who's printing that stuff underground, I probably should have said that off camera, but let me know.
Would you guys be okay with a contract like that? Would you be okay if Marvel told you, like, Russ, you can't draw?
Obviously, it was an offer that Chris couldn't refuse because he took it.
But you can draw all you want, but you can't draw for the competition. We're not using you. You can't write for the competition. We're not using. Me personally, I'm lazy. Yeah, I'll do it.
I'd do it, but I'd do it, but I'd work on something else.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah.
I maybe I'm just talking for me, but I can't go a day without trying to create something.
That's right. Yeah.
You'd think it'd be eating him out from the inside. I know Chris did a prose novel at one point, and it didn't go very far.
No, I remember those. Yeah, he's done some prose. But it just kind of reminds me of like the old newspaper strip days where, like, say the Chicago Tribune would buy up a comic strip and never print it, but mostly because they wanted to make sure that the Sun Times or the Daily News, whatever, couldn't have it either as competition. So it speaks well of Claremont that he's got that kind of contract. Right. I can't think of anyone in the industry aside from exclusives where you draw specifically for that company.
Yeah, no, those companies.
A contract like that's crazy.
Yeah. I believe those companies stopped all of their exclusive
I can understand it when
years ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can understand it when you're selling millions. I can't understand it when you're selling 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000. And let's face it, after the first sort of 7 or 8 books in the lists, it's all under 100,000. You're going down to 50, 60,000 very quickly. It's like, I can't believe the money's there to actually pay someone not to do something. It's beyond me. Absolutely beyond me.
It might have been some sort of guarantee to give him a permanent pension. I have no idea. I'm not privy to the contract.
I'm
willing to crowdfund a contract. I'm willing to crowdfund some money to get a contract together to stop some people from writing for Marvel.
It's that dog in the manger thing, isn't it? Where they don't want you, they don't want your work, but they don't want somebody else to have it. Because I don't know whether Russell remember this, but about 20 years ago there was a TV program called was it Hollywood Babylon or something?
Oh yes,
and it was I won't say the names anyway, but I can't remember anyway. But there was some guy on. He was an agent in Hollywood, and he was interested in this guy's book. But one of his rivals bought the rights to the book before he did, but then just threw it in the drawer. So the guy, the writer, got $500,000 for the book, for the screenplay or the screen rights. But the guy who bought it was determined not to make it because he didn't like the other guy who was going to buy it. So he got $500,000, but it just wrecked his career because the film was never made. And the guy bought it just to spite the other guy. And that's people. That's where the human race falls down, isn't it?
People.
If you're going to pay one of the greatest, arguably comic book writers in history not to do anything, so he doesn't do it for the other guy. Why not pay him to do it for you? Rather than having to do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. Bizarre. Doesn't make
like I said before,
it's going to be enforced with Disney looking at it.
Well, they like money, don't they? So why don't they use it? use him to make money because he's pretty good, isn't he? So
well, there's also the idea that he might not want to write what the company wants.
Oh, that's true.
that's true. Yeah.
I thought of
Yeah.
that.
Well, look at the deal that Kirby made when he went over to DC to do New Gods.
Right.
He was doing stuff that nobody at DC knew how to even market what he was doing, let alone, the sheer genius of what he was accomplishing.
They just wanted to take him away, didn't they?
Yeah, they just wanted to possess him.
Yeah.
He ended up going back to Marvel because he got fed up at DC.
Yeah.
For the way he was treated.
Yeah.
So, and then he went back and had Black Panther fighting a giant toad. It was awesome. and created Captain America with the big villain with the face and the belly. That was incredible. At the time, I'm like going, this guy is terrible. And then now you go back and this stuff's all, highly sought after because it was so crazy creative.
Yeah, well, the artist side of me is going, this is beautiful. The writer side of me is going, oh, God, Jack, didn't you read any of the issues that you left?
No.
No.
I think he just ditched them all.
That's what I heard he liked to do anyway. He did, if he took over a series, after a certain point, he's like, I don't care what happened before. I'll just do it my way. Look at I love his run on the Losers and Our Fighting Force.
Yeah.
And aside from making the characters look like they did the issue before from John Severin, there was virtually no connection between the previous issues, but they were brilliant in their own right. I thought it's one of my favorite 70s Kirby's works.
He talks to me about the Losers on my film. He talks about the somebody Jones, the runner who runs against the German.
Oh yes, brilliant.
He talks about that.
Oh.
He talks about that.
Oh,
and there's a great story about the mines. Have any of you seen that? You're talking about the mine, putting the tape down for lining the mines through a field, and it's really funny. You should read it. It's really funny.
I will. Thank you, Glenn. I'll take that up.
It's good.
Good stuff.
Anything else, Varian?
Got nothing.
Got nothing.
Have you offended no one?
No, yeah, but I can tell you this though. My kid has been reading. He picked up Marvel put out the entire Spider-Man collection from creation to like 2001, 2002 on CD a couple years ago. And my son found the collection. He's like, oh, can I look at these? And he was looking at some of them, and he really is he's starting to pick up on continuity and like stuff that's not making sense to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, son, don't think about it. Just go with it.
Sometimes you have to let art flow over you.
Yeah. But, he's starting to pick up on that, but he is getting appreciation for the older artists. He's starting to recognize some art styles now, so he knows what who Ditko is and
good
and different artists, and so hopefully he doesn't ask me one day, Dad, why aren't you drawing any of these books, and it break my heart.
Long time ago, son.
Yeah. But I had mentioned on Joe's show last night that Randy, that we had when we talk on this show, when you have he said that sometimes I seem lost on this show, and I think it is because I'm soaking up so much information from hearing you old fogies talk about the history of comics. I'm busy learning more so than I'll put out my brand of ignorance every couple of sentences, but I wonder sometimes. I get worried that I'm going to be this well of information at some point too. People are going to look at me like this.
You will.
Yeah,
you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
If it's a passion, you're just going to soak it up like a sponge.
Yeah,
that's what all of us did.
Yeah,
we didn't go into this to be a wealth of knowledge. We just ate it up. That's all.
Because I find myself watching comic book documentaries and yelling at the TV. That's not what happened.
Yeah, that was me. Pardon me. During that Kevin Smith so-called history of comics, it's like no, that's not no. Huh? Oh, Kirkman.
Yeah, it was
Sorry, Kirkman. I get them mixed up.
Same thing.
Yeah, same. That was a
My-
mess, except for the milestone episode and a little bit of the image stuff that wasn't saccharine. It was just a mess. It's like
my daughter did a similar thing 20 odd years ago when she was young, and I was talking about things, and she said to me, "How do you know so much about things?" And I said, "Well, I read books and I read everything." And then a few days later, she was doing her homework, and she said to me, "Where's Peru?" And I said, "It's in South America. You should get a book and find out and read about it." And then she just shrugged her shoulders. You know, she's about 10. And she said, and then I said to her, "What would you do, Lisa, if an alien landed and asked you where Sydney Harbour Bridge was?" And she said, "I'd tell him to come and see you."
Glenn B. Fleming is the internet.
there you go. Dad, got a guy here with funny eyes, wants to know where Peru is.
He's probably just flown over it.
Did you hear?
Go that way, take a right at Albuquerque. You'll be there.
Some country Google threatened to turn some countries Google off. Forget which country it was. They
Yeah, Australia.
Australia.
Right.
Yeah, they threatened to take their Google away.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of I don't know how accurate it is, but it seems to be a lot of good news coming out of Australia at the moment. Don't know whether you've been watching that, Russ.
Yeah.
And about the election and all this kind of thing, and we won't get into that, but they threatened to take it off. Yeah, I mean, it's China, isn't it?
Yeah,
China.
China. Yeah, sometimes it's worse.
China.
Real big. Yes. But anyway,
China.
back to Jack Kirby.
Like I mentioned, wonderful Facebook about a meme I put up with a toy. Yeah. You're spreading fake news. No, I'm posting a picture of a toy.
it's a joke. They're like,
Thank you. It's a joke. Yeah.
okay, sir, Facebook.
They've broken it. They've broken the internet. They've broken it.
And that's been broken for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've broken it. Yeah, it's all gonna get divided up into international chunks now.
They're already polarizing it really bad, chasing people off onto other platforms what they want to say something that's against whatever they anyway, we're getting political, and that's not what this show is about.
Sir, we here at Facebook don't have a sense of humor. And yeah.
I should write them back and tell them I expect an apology as soon as they catch up to their damn algorithm.
That's what I did, Randy, when they told me that my armpit looked like a,
Yes.
And I reached out and I'm like, I'm hurt. My illness. How dare you guys? I demand an apology. The Zuck hasn't given me one yet, but
yeah,
I do demand one. Yeah.
Terry says, I had a friend ask me if Africa was in Europe. My reply was, how have you survived to this age?
Apparently not by trying to find Africa.
Apparently.
Amazon. That's how they survive to this
age.
age.
If Africa's in Europe, it's gonna really change like racism all the way.
I'm hearing 70s porn music somewhere.
Believe it or not, that's Lola's phone.
That's who? Lola's phone. Okay.
And she's not here to answer it, so I don't answer. So.
Waka waka waka.
Yeah, we're not going to ask how Randy can identify that, but we'll move.
We're not here to talk about our porn career.
That's right.
No.
Well, thank God for that.
Not at all. I shake my finger at the camera. No, we don't go there.
I did want to tell Randy, you and Russ that this week I actually started. In the last 4 days, I started a concentrated actual effort to draw digitally. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. And
I'm just happy you're making an effort to draw.
Well, because I've been like I got back to the table like week before last, but now I'm like, let me pick up this tablet and I'm drawing. And the best way I can describe it right now is I'm in this phase where it's like a fog, like I'm drawing into a fog. And I need it to clear up because it's like But I did, I'll tell you this. I have been able to cheat. Like I didn't have the size of something right. I was able to select that and shrink it. Oh, that was nice. Because before that would have been erasing or throwing out and getting a whole new page. This is a whole new world.
No, that's called photocopying and lightboxing.
Yeah,
that's the way that works.
It just took a little longer.
Yeah, and now you don't have to do it. That's what I had before.
Don't forget, Varian, in 5 years' time, you'll have no original artwork to sell.
No.
True.
Now, what you do is you pencil it on digitally, so you get it exactly the way you want it, and then
I'm blowing that up. Go ahead.
And then you print it out onto board,
right?
And you brush it up.
Look at how pretty that cover is.
That is gorgeous.
That's fabulous.
That is nice.
That's lovely.
That is.
So what I've actually found a way of using digital and traditional all together. So I'm kind of I suppose I'm kind of following on, and we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. That's one of my favorite phrases.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm kind of following on from people like Kirby and Steranko, where they kind of mix the mediums and do different things. And I've been drawing digitally for a while because I wasn't confident with ink brushes, but ink brushes of ink pens, like brush pens, have got to such a degree now that I feel much more confident with them. And so I've been practicing, and now I'm getting to a point where I'm really happy with the pencils that I'm doing digitally, because like Varian was saying, there's all kinds of things you can do. It speeds up. It's just so cool to get to do that, and then print that out onto the right board and brush it up, and suddenly you've got a real piece of artwork that you can sell on later. So that actual cover, which will be one of the covers for the Indie Vault Revolt book, it will also appear in my second book and be one of my tiers for the crowdfunding campaign, that you can buy that cover. So it's like all these things, they all kind of work together. So being able to use multi-output, multi-mediums, that's the key.
Russ, don't forget that you're going to give me the artwork for Comics Unlimited cover, aren't you? You said you would. I'm lying.
Yeah, you can have that. Yeah, but the thing is that's all digital.
Oh.
Glenn will write.
Well, that proves my point. That proves my point.
I'll send that original bit of electricity to you immediately. There you go. So
you can have that one. That's all digital. You can have that. I had to get that done so quickly that I had no choice but to do it digitally.
I knew you
because
could
there's
do
no
it.
doubt. There's no doubt that inking in the real world does take longer than inking digitally. Absolutely no. Just simply because obviously you've got to concentrate and make sure you get every stroke just the way you want it, which you never do, but as close as you can. Whereas you can just go, oh, that stroke isn't right. Control Z. Let's have another go at that.
Yeah,
and it, and then also the dog doesn't eat it, and you don't spill your coffee on it and stuff like that.
I'm using pens more now for inking, but for a style. But using a brush, I used the brush in the 80s and 90s, and it's wonderful when you get a brush going down on a board. I mean, you make a mistake, you just get.
Oh, it is.
You change it, but it's wonderful to. It's just the feel of it. I mean, I always, I'm an advocate of the original artwork and stuff, but I just love the feel of that pencil going over that board or paper.
Yeah.
The pencil, I've got really used to the whole digital pencil thing. But you're right about the brush on paper. Well, you're right about both, but I've got used to it. But the brush on paper, getting that right brush, getting the weight, getting the thickness, everything about it just feels really, really good. So I'm going to be doing a lot more traditional inking now than I used to do. But it all comes down to time at the end of the day.
Of course, yeah.
And it's crazy to see folk style coming through on their brush strokes. You see somebody like Raymond or Murphy Anderson inking, doing stuff that to me seems incredibly tender, and you get these other artists like Alex Nino and Jim Aparo, who can just by a pressure point, they can make a shadow just by pressing down on the brush a little harder and having that expertise to be able to do that boom 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 boom, because they were having to work so fast and the style that they were doing, and Aparo especially is, in my opinion, really underrated for his inking ability. I love sitting there and looking at his stuff. His old Spectre work and his Brave and the Bold work is just phenomenal to me. That he did that, and he was a machine doing it. You know, literally kicking out. Well, I believe Brave and the Bold was monthly at that point, and it was because of his style and the great writers that they had on those books. Just an incredible work.
Well, plus he was lettering his own work too.
Oh yeah. I tell everybody, you want to learn how to do sound effects. You look at those old Brave and the Bolds, because Aparo used to be able to mash letters together into these great designs that are just awe-inspiring. To me,
Dave Gibbons does his own lettering too, doesn't he? He does complete art. He does pencil inks and lettering, and he gets the whole. He doesn't have to share it with anybody.
No,
an inker or a letterer or whatever the deal is at the time.
Well, plus he's in control of the entire look, the whole aesthetic.
That's right. Yeah.
Of the work. Yeah.
So imagine how. Who was the editor on Watchmen? Wasn't Dick Giordano? Was it? Who was it?
Was it Len Wein?
Len Wein.
Len Wein. Imagine his. I don't know what the word is. His joy when Dave Gibbons said, "I can letter too." He wouldn't have to send the pages over to America to get them lettered, to get them sent back. He could just deliver the whole package, and great for Dave Gibbons because he gets another paycheck as well.
Yeah, just imagine doing that today. You'd have the whole cost of your whole profit eaten up in postage alone.
Especially $200 a shot,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why digital it can be very useful.
Yeah,
but you scan everything now, so you know, even traditional artwork, like for instance that's the bizarre thing is I did it pencil, printed it out, brushed it, and then scanned it back in again.
Yeah,
and so you know it's not quite the same thing anymore. But yeah, so for instance, with my book, I did everything. I did the pencils, I wrote it, pencils, inks, colors, letters, and the design and the jacket and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that came out of a requirement of I didn't really want to pay anyone else to do anything. I didn't want to have a budget, as it were. I wanted to create the whole thing myself. Next time round, I just won't have the time to do that. If I want to be able to do 2, maybe even 3 books a year, if I get to that point, then I'm going to have to probably get somebody else to do at the very least the flats on the colors, and probably get someone else to do the lettering as well. So it's just a matter of production, isn't it?
Yes. I just love the fact in the old comics where the lettering is directly on the board, because it's obviously part of the artwork. I mean, there was I've mentioned this before. You'll have seen this, Russ. You know, The Rise and Fall of the Trigon Empire by what's he called? Dan Lawrence.
Yeah.
The Trigon Empire.
That
artwork is fully painted, but now when you see it for sale or anything, a lot of the lettering's fallen off because it was stuck on. So you've got these empty bits of bubbles, and they did and on that particular strip, it was a sort of a square bubble rather than a round, you know, a circular one. And the lettering was the typeset. Yeah, it's awful. And I just wish that somebody like Sam Rosen was still around, or John Constanza, to do some really nice lettering and drop it on, and republish. You know, but when you see the artwork, like I say, the lettering's fallen off for the most part. Yeah, it's awful. And the fact that they stuck it on the artwork as well. Yeah, they stuck it on the physical artwork, so there's a big blob where this lovely sky should be. You know.
I'm currently going through a bunch of old.
I saw a video by.
Go ahead, Russ.
I've got a delay.
Sorry, I think there's a bit of a delay on there. I saw a video by Joe Kubert. I think it was Joe Kubert, and it was talking about the way the producing pages and actually laying the lettering down on the page and sort of saying, you know, you don't need to ink this bit. You don't need to ink that bit because that's where the text is going to go. And just all these old production techniques, because it was all about time. It was all about getting the job out as quickly as you could. You know, the amazing speed of people like Buscema and Kirby and what have you, and how they pump that stuff out. But also the shortcuts that were required, and kind of in some ways, in a lot of ways, those things are being lost.
Well,
And
yeah, this is
some-
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, so true.
Sorry. Some of the artistry, of that work back in the day, it isn't just about the artists, it isn't just about the creators, but it's also about the environment that they worked within and how quickly they produce stuff and the way that they produce stuff, and it all came together to produce this unique cultural art form.
Yes.
That's kind of, even if you reproduce it now, even me trying to sort of scratch the itch of that kind of art that I love with my book, it's still not being reproduced in the same way, and so you can never recapture that. So it's a bit of a pity, but unfortunately that's obviously the way of things. But that's what makes all that stuff so valuable.
Yeah.
Going back to what we were talking about before.
In the 80s, when I was drawing for people, they would send me a full script. But before I started drawing the actual artwork, I would always envision where the script was going to go, whether for the composition and the layout and everything.
Yeah.
And then I would pencil it lightly, and then I would get my trusty Ames, lettering guide, and then put the lettering in, and then finish the penciling, and then ink the lettering, because I used to do it in pencil first, just to make sure I got the break right and all that, and then ink, like you say. Then I'd put the hard balloons on and just ink up to that, and you wouldn't have fully penciled it, so you didn't lose that much.
Yeah.
And like you say, you didn't, once you placed your word balloons and stuff, the captions, you needn't go anywhere near that really in terms of your art. You keep it away from that, and that's all part of the composition. And I think a lot of that has been lost because I don't know for sure, but I get the impression the comics are produced by this will sound a bit stupid, but separate people who aren't sort of involved in the whole thing. They just get a lettering job. They just get an inking job.
Yeah.
So they've got no idea what the lettering is going to be, and they have to find the place to put it so you're not chopping somebody's head off.
Yeah.
But they're doing it on the computer. And that's why, one of the reasons why I think it worked so well in the past, to put the lettering directly on the board, or at least have an idea where it's going to go. But I may be wrong about that, but that's what I'm seeing.
And I'm seeing a lot of examples of exactly the opposite of that, where they expect somebody to do a large info dump on a panel. So you've got this headshot or this from the chest up shot, that's this wide open space, this little tiny balloon on it, and it doesn't work for effect because the artist was expecting somebody to explain, half of the story right here in this panel, and instead it's like, yep.
and I've seen some, maybe the opposite of,
and
that too, where a number of artists newer artists, I will say, don't leave room for any dialogue.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the old, any sort of real, comic art, you see that the artist maybe left the top quarter or part of a side of the panel open to where the writer could put in their dialogue. And especially if they're working script first, they should realize this. But I worked for a publisher who had a policy of never having his artists redraw anything, who, they would draw something that the characters were perfectly centered in the frame, which doesn't work for a lot of dialogue, unfortunately, especially if they're not telling the story and it's left to the writer to have to explain stuff in the prose. So.
I think, to get back onto an old chestnut, I think it proves who was doing what in the 60s when you see Kirby and Ditko artwork. If you see Steve Ditko's pencils, which I think are rare, you can see that he's clearly leaving space at the top of each panel for captions and word balloons. And that, to me, because he's not working from a full script and using this sort of Marvel method, I think it's called, which was being done before Marvel did it, but they claimed it. But you can see who's writing those stories.
Walk in.
Because here we go. Who's this?
Look up.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hey.
Hi there.
Say see you later.
See you later.
See ya.
Okay.
Bye.
But I think now with a full script, this is why I tend to do my own comics, because I can change things on a whim. I can make things work. I can change it, and you can't do that with somebody else's work, But have you seen the huge Watchmen book that Dave Gibbons put out a few years ago.
Yeah.
When he's got all the letters from Alan Moore in it and the scripts and stuff. And I mean, that guy, his hands must be working at a dozen, you know, because he's typing. It must be typing away there because those descriptions are they're just full, aren't they? They doesn't leave anything for the artist to do, really. You know, he just describes every cup on the shelf and every picture on the wall. Yeah. And I find that both incredible and a bit daunting, really, because it doesn't leave much input from the artist other than to draw it nicely.
Well, and then you go from Watchmen to From Hell, where he's documenting every small aspect of Victorian life during the time of Jack the Ripper, and even go to the point where he's making notes in the back of each book, going from pages this to this conversation had to have happened because of this article, or that happened here, or it's just the sheer amount of information that he jams into those books is just incredible. You sit there in awe of it. You really wonder, and you know, everybody, you know, the folks that did work on there, Gibbons and Campbell, and even the guy who did V for Vendetta, all said that it was a joy. David Lloyd, yeah, it was a joy to do because of all of the detail was right there in the script. All they had to do was, you know, and a lot of times Moore would even go so far as to lay it out for him because he had a art background.
Yeah. Well, you can always do what the Image guys did when Moore was writing Wildcats for a year. Just ignore Moore's script.
Yeah.
You know, too many panels on that page. I just feel like drawing a pin up here. So,
wow,
no good. No good.
No good.
Yeah, my heart valve sounded like castanets when I read an article about that.
That's just Alan. Just ignore it. He just
who's he anyway?
Yeah.
I think it's people when they don't have a grasp. I wrote for a magazine called Undercover in the 80s, in the 90s, and it was about politics and things like that. We won't get into that. But what I'm saying is that I wrote an article about one guy who'd been in the Philippines who was killed, and
we lost Russ again.
Bye, Russ.
The editor. I passed in the article and it had all these things about the timing of these shots where this guy, President Aquino, had been murdered in the Philippines. And the vital thing, like with the Kennedy thing, is the timing of the shots and where they were coming from. And I put this article in, really researched this thing and wrote this thing. And it was really involved and you really had to sort of pay attention while you were reading it for obvious reasons because it was different shots and things like that. And the editor cut it all out. And I said, that's the most important part. You know, it was like President Aquino landed on the tarmac and was shot, and then everybody went home. And I said that's the most important part. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that with the editor and with like people with Alan Moore who write full scripts, I want some input in that. You know, rather than do you see what I mean? You can't be leaving things out. And this is why I'd rather work with myself, you know, work on my own because I can change things. They might be right or wrong or whatever, but that's up to me. That's my story, you know.
Right.
And so, getting back to what we're saying about all the art with the lettering and stuff, it's great to have a team working on things, but it must have also been great for Len Wein to have Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons doing all the art and all the scripts and everything. And I know it's no small thing, but all he had to do was just put it together and make sure that everything was okay. But it must have been a great experience for him, and I'd like to hear his version of that. You know, because that would have been a different kind of job for him as well, dealing with people over in England, but they were in charge of all the creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Good point.
For anybody out there listening, this is the Sunday Funnies for the 24th of January, 2021. We appreciate you listening. Varian's away from the microphone right now, or we'd get numbers. But we appreciate all of you listening on Indie Vote Radio. And everyone out there on YouTube and in Facebook, the chat is still open. So feel free to ask a question to the panel. We're only going to be here for a few more minutes. So make it quick. Anyway, Russ, what was the first superhero comic you ever bought?
Right. The first one I ever bought was Captain Britain, and the first one that was ever given to me was Stalker.
Stalker.
Oh wow.
Yeah, on DC. Yeah, Stalker.
Okay.
After Stalker,
Man with-
I got
Oh, okay. That's Ditko Wood Barbarian book.
Ditko.
Man with the Stolen Soul.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, Ditko.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that, I can remember various books being given to me, anything from Beano and Chipper and Whiz, through to Iron Fist and Avengers and bits and pieces, and then eventually, when I was old enough and had my own money, which was about 1977, I think, around then. That's when I bought Captain Britain,
Yeah.
and after that, that was it. I couldn't stop after that.
Which Captain Britain did you buy?
Oh, the original run.
Was it the Moore run or the what was it?
Is it Claremont? No.
Claremont Tusca, I think it was.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the artists on that. But yeah, it was the original run. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they started off in color, in paper, and then they went to a glossy cover with black and white interiors, and then they ended up merging with Spider-Man Weekly in the UK, then eventually disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, they were trying to keep a weekly production schedule, and that was a little rough.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much impossible. I remember having terrible trouble getting hold of the comic as well, but I did get hold of the first run. Unfortunately, like the story earlier, they were destroyed. My mother got rid of them while I was away, so never got them back.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Brian, you remember that? Go ahead.
Sorry, after that, I got into, because it merged with Spider-Man. I then got Spider-Man Monthly and carried on getting that for a long time. But I also used to pick up, I had some other stuff as well, like that. Glenn might remember this, the really oddly shaped Titans book.
Yes.
It was a landscape book.
I got a couple samples of that here.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was I loved it as well. Bizarre book. And lots of bits. Oh, I remember getting Planet of the Apes as well, which I did manage to pick up a full first 20 issues from a little shop for next to nothing. And I don't think they're particularly valuable, but I just love them. I think they're fantastic.
I believe that a lot of that was Plug. They were shooting off of his pencils. Mike Plug.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I have a Titan Digest size comic. That's about the size of the old Walt Disney Comics Digest. That were one of those. It was like as if they took the pages they were using in Titans. Anybody here who hasn't seen Titans, it used to open wide. It was a rectangular sitting on its side, like a comic on its side, with the spine along where the top of the comic would be, and it would open up wide, and there would be 4 comic pages inside in black and white.
Yeah.
And absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, but fantastic.
Yeah.
And then if they had to do a filler page, because a lot of times they'd cut the issues in half, you'd have this diorama, this almost movie screen size splash page that was usually hastily written by somebody or drawn by somebody at the bullpen. That would start off the second half of the story with some sort of explanation caption down below, so that the reader wasn't completely in the dark. It was an awesome format. Did you read the 2000s? Go ahead. What?
I do have one kicking around, but it's not in this pack.
Oh yeah, it'd take me a while to dig mine up too.
Yeah.
Did you read 2000 AD when it was first out?
Yeah.
Early progs?
I used to have all that. Yeah. Started off with Star-Lord, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't have the very earliest progs of 2000 AD. Started off with Star-Lord, and that got merged into 2000 AD.
Around, I want to say 70, the prog 70, somewhere in there, 76.
Somewhere around there, late 70s, and yeah, and that was great. Loved that.
What amazing! What amazing
child. Yeah, I mean, like, it was so subversive. Absolutely brilliant. But people don't realize just, you know, how subversive really things like Whizzer and Chips and Beano and what have you. They're quite subversive.
Corporal
really.
Plot.
Yeah, they're they're poking the establishment all the time, and things like 2000 AD just took that and ran with it, but obviously for a slightly older audience. But you know, 11-year-old boys reading about this effectively hero that was a Nazi called Judge Dredd, dealing out fascist justice in Thatcher's Britain was a pretty much a character building thing. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed 2000 AD. I don't think it's got it anymore personally. It just doesn't. It doesn't have the same edge anymore. But probably, in all fairness to it, it probably can't. Because everybody's just so numbed by what they see on TV and all kinds of things.
So woke.
But, probably right.
Yeah.
I was just impressed by the sheer imagination that was in those 2000 ADs. Every strip was completely different from the previous one, going off in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Even the ones that took place in Judge Dredd's universe, like Hell Trekkers, and which was a direct rip of Damnation Alley. By Samuel Delaney. Just crazy, amazing stuff.
I was always a fan of Rogue Trooper in that comic.
Oh yeah,
mainly because I love Cam Kennedy's artwork. Because I remember I first saw Cam Kennedy in the late '60s when he used to draw Commando comics, and his artwork is superb. I think when he went to DC, you know, in the '80s, I think they put some inker on it and they wrecked it. When he did, excuse me, full artwork on Light and Darkness War, when he painted that artwork, absolutely beautiful stuff.
I think all of those guys, when they jumped over to DC, because I remember Carlos Esquera. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. Big fan, huge Strontium Dog fan, Stainless Steel Rat fan. He goes over to DC and it's horrible.
Yeah.
Just completely, all of the heart and soul of the work is just completely.
I think what applied there was what I was saying before about Dave Gibbons doing all the artwork, you know, the lettering and the inking and everything. Because I think I know, like I just say, Cam Kennedy did. I'm not sure what the book was, but he did a book, and an American artist inked it, and it just turned it into an American comic book, if you will. The artwork was just totally ruined, in my opinion. And later when he did Light and Darkness War. And he painted the whole thing. It's just absolutely beautiful because he's a fantastic artist as well as he's an illustrator, you know, as well as a comic book artist.
Yeah,
and I think that's just touching back on Kirby going to DC in 71 or 70. They didn't know what they had. Yeah, and I think they saw Alan Moore and everybody else around him, you know, Gibbons and all these people having this great success, but they didn't exactly know what it was. Yeah, and they bought it, so to speak, and moved it to America, and it didn't work. And I think they missed what was going on with that stuff. And again, just to say that Len Wein must have had a great time just getting all that full artwork off Dave Gibbons.
Yeah,
you know.
Sure. Yeah. You're back on.
I am. I'm sorry, I had to step away for a little while. Did you guys see there was comments? I guess you guys probably been reading those.
Which comments?
Well, we got Arthur Michaela. Jade said, "Hello, guys. Good morning."
Yep. Cut that. Good morning.
CG Studios says, "But isn't that the fault of the editor not keeping all parties on the same page? Doesn't the editor look all parts as they come in to figure out that letters won't fit or artist is off script?"
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of the editors up there have no clue what their actual job is.
Yeah, and the guy I worked for in this particular case, he listed me as the editor, but wouldn't let me have people make corrections to the art because he was afraid he'd have to repay them to do it. So he made his writers rewrite their stories to fit the art, which, you know,
not good.
Which is why I'm no longer the editor there.
If you're working at DC, I understand the assistant to the assistant to the assistant editor is currently now in charge.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. It's been that way since the 90s.
Yeah.
Tina Kraft
dear.
Purnell says, I think she tagged Richard Purnell.
Purnell.
Terry McEver says, what has been your biggest challenge in getting your work out there?
Getting your work out there.
Myself. Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, time. There's
Time,
never enough. Never enough time.
Yep.
Never.
Matt D says, I'm listening while writing the script to my own comic. You guys are like fuel to my fire. Thank you for taking the time to do this. You're welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. That's very kind of you to say that. Yep. We just love doing it. You get it at any time you get some of us old guys together and start asking us stories. We'll talk for hours. So
And have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mara says,
that's why I wanted to do this program. Really, is to talk about not just the old days, but to talk about the fun and the true passion behind comics. Yeah. Just forget it. I'm going crazy. I'll type it. Okay.
He's gonna type the script. He's type the letters. I gotta tell you guys. I bought an Ames lettering guide. I haven't used it yet, but I figured I want to train myself in it.
As soon as he figures out which holes he's supposed to put the pencil in, he'll be.
I still have my Ames lettering guide. I used to letter my own comics when I did art, and that's an art form unto itself,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
drawing the letters.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a joke to go there, Randy, but it's the Sunday morning show. I won't use it.
See, that's why
that.
That's why I like the lettering on the artwork, because when you look at, say, Sam Rosden's work, in the Marvels, it's beautiful. But when you look at it close up, each letter is actually different, and it makes it move.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's trying to get the same S and E, but when it's done on a computer, it's always perfect. And for me, it doesn't work. It's too rigid. It's like a CD against vinyl, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's a CD. The sound is so sharp and it's brilliant, but there's something about the vinyl with that warmth and that even the cracks in it, making it, it's real. But that's why I'm not against it, but I don't like computer lettering. Although I have done it, but I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah.
I would want to.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to do it, but I just don't have the time. But I'm totally with you on the way that it feels and the way that it looks as well. Like I'm having my own internal battles at the moment because I'm being OCD about my artwork. So I got myself to a point where I was getting very smooth lines digitally, as you would, but at the same time approaching it like traditional artwork because I wanted it to look that way. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going out into actually doing more traditional inking, and obviously those lines, they're just nowhere near as smooth. Now what I've got to do is I've got to get rid of my OCD. Go no, so stop that, because part of the vibrancy of a comic book page is the fact that it isn't super smooth. The fact that it is, it's got that grit. And other people, I'm obviously showing my work to other people, and they're going, "Oh no, stick with the traditional stuff. This is just like there's so much energy in it."
Yeah.
On Kate Bush in an interview said that about her work, that on her last album, she plays, the song comes on and she plays the wrong chord, and she goes, "Oh," and then pauses and then plays the right chord and starts singing. And she was asked why she left it on, and she said because often the mistakes are the best part.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean.
Mistakes, and that's something else to talk about. When you talk of people's styles, it's about. I saw somebody comment on Facebook earlier. There was an ad for the little mannequins. These little guys.
Yeah,
which are they're great. They're what they are. Okay, sometimes you kind of think, well, where does that limb go? It's not necessarily in the library. But then they had a little video of people literally taking pictures of them and tracing them and doing all kinds of stuff with it. And somebody wrote a great comment underneath and said 99% of the best comic art has got ridiculously outsized limbs on it.
Yeah.
And the point being is that comic art is not about being exactly right. Now I've fought with myself over that. I want things to be so right and so perfect, and that's not how it happens. And actually those mistakes build up your style. They build up what you are, so for instance, Buscema, Kirby, Sinnott especially inspire me, but I understand I'm not them, and I never could be, and I don't want to be. You have to be yourself. You have to make your own style, and those mistakes all come in together and build it up. And totally, I've been doing this I've been in production for like 35 years or something. God, I'm so old.
Yeah, really. Come on.
But it's like I've been in it for a long time, and I've now been drawing comics, like I say, in anger since 2010. And I was doing some stuff back in the 90s as well. But you never stop learning, and you never stop developing. Don't ever hold yourself back. You know, like just always add.
Well, somebody said to me years ago that Jack Kirby didn't know anything about anatomy. Well, you know, I mean, and I said, well, you know, that's just ridiculous. He knows everything about anatomy, and then he just adds his own to it as well. And those lines indicate, you know, energy and power and things like that. They're not necessarily you haven't necessarily got that muscle in your leg, but when he draws Thor, he looks powerful, doesn't he? And that's what he's doing. He knows that work. He knows that anatomy inside out. He's forgotten more than we'll ever know. And then he just adds to it, and that's what's good about it.
And that's the genius. And that's what we were talking about. What you were talking about earlier about putting lettering in a particular place and how much you do in a panel, how much you don't have to do. You take the shortcuts. The whole art form is you can't just turn up. You're a great artist. You're the best artist ever. There are 100,000 million artists out there that are better artists than me. Doesn't mean they can tell a comic book story and do sequential art.
That's right.
And that's the difference between an excellent cover artist, although I'm sure there are artists that do both, but an excellent cover artist and an artist that actually puts the stories together. And it's all of it. It's all of it together. It's like, you know, placing things, positioning, having a library in your head of what a horse and a building looks like. All this stuff comes.
Oh, has he gone?
Together. Even when you,
Russ, you're breaking up.
That's also part of a writer's job as well, and I think this is lost. The writer has got to know. And to be economical with his words, so the artist can draw something in the panel. And I mean, as much as I like Chris Claremont's work, he does tend to be wordy, and the panels, the art suffers. I mean, he's telling a great story, but I think, like I say, the part of the writer's job has got to be to realize that you've only got so much space in that panel. So you can only have so many words, because you've got to get Reed Richards in there as well, because he's saying the bubble, you know. He's saying the word balloon. So, and a lot of people seem to miss that. They just want to write and write and write. And well, the artist will sort it out, because the art is secondary to him, but it's not. It's a visual medium we work in, and the art is first, and always will be first. You know, you don't, when you see that rack, you tend not to see Spider-Man logo. You see Spider-Man himself, you know? So the writers have a responsibility for word economy too, as well as an artist does with the line work.
For all of his workiness in the scripts, you know, Alan Moore was, you know, very economical with his. When you look at the printed page, and I find comic scripting harder than novels, to be honest, because of what Glenn said.
You've got to be, every word has to count, every line has to count from the art. And I said to Russ before, and he agrees, less is more. Less is more. You got to get the story over in a single line or a word.
Agreed.
Or a number of words, you know. And people these days tend to, I don't think they understand this. And it's like Russ said about the storytelling. You're telling the story in pictures, you know. They're like silent movies, aren't they? You don't need the bubbles. The fact that the guy who stretches is called Reed Richards is scenery. He could be called anything, but if he's not doing his job, you know, Reed Richards isn't doing his job, you can't, the story doesn't move along, and you can't tell what he's doing. So, and the words embellish the drawings, I think. Because the words, if you take those Steranko shields that he did, where the story was where he didn't get paid because for the 4 pages he didn't put any words on them. When he's climbing that big tower in the first shield he did, the people don't understand, and he wasn't going to get paid. And the story goes he was hanging Larry Lieber out the window 40 floors up or something till he got paid. I don't know the story, but I don't know whether it's true or not. But you know. So he, as a writer, Steranko was being economical with his words to the nth degree, because there were no words for the first 4 pages, because his artwork told you what Nick Fury was doing, you know, and the words are added later, obviously. And I think that's part of Stan Lee's genius, was that he realized very quickly that he didn't need to tell Jack Kirby what to do and Steve Ditko what to do. He just let them go, and then he would put the words down. And the other part of his genius was that he was a good writer, because he could write minimal words on the page. He didn't destroy too much art. The story moved along, and those comics were the best ever, in my opinion.
And also scripting it on a legal pad before you can go home to eat dinner.
Yes,
was usually a motivator.
That's true.
Yeah. And we have to call it there. Russ, can you let folks know how to find you?
Yeah, as long as my internet keeps working. So
yeah, that's why I'm having you go first.
In my provincial part of the world. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find out more about my book, Only Death Can Save Us, onlydeathcansaveus.com. And there will be a link there. There you go.
There we go.
It's the kind of stuff you can see in there.
Can't wait.
And there will be a link there to the Indiegogo campaign. It's still in demand, and I have plenty of books if people want them. You can also find me on the Twitter, on the Fleece Book. You can find me over on Instagram and various places across the internet if you come find me.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks a lot for being on. Brian, can you tell folks how to get a hold of you?
Why, as a matter of fact, I can. Randy, thank you. Go to risingtide.pub. That's my website. Also, I have a Rising Tide Publications page on Facebook where you'll hear more about our novels. Please sign up for our monthly newsletter there. Plus, I'm on YouTube, like all the cool kids, where I do my 3 times a week interactive talk show. Never mind, furthermore, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, Clever Title Pending, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. And this week we are going to have, I didn't write it down, I'm such an idiot. Anyway, Lacey Lemke, a novelist who is also working on her first graphic novel and self-publisher. So please join us for that and bring your questions.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me, Randy.
Thanks for being on, Brian. Really appreciate you. Glenn, tell folks how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, get me on the usual things, Facebook and Twitter. If you want to see my books and things, go onto Amazon. They're all there. Just put my name in, Glenn B. Fleming, and you'll find them. But the best place if you want to talk to me is comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com, and I will answer all questions. Not that I'll probably get any, but that's where I'll be. But yeah, just look around Facebook. There's several sites on there. I run a couple of Jack Kirby sites, Comics Unlimited sites on there, and I'm on there too.
Great, and thanks so much for being on. Folks, I've been Varian. Tell folks how to get a hold of you.
Oh, sure.
I didn't want to ignore you.
KYD_V on Twitter. Varian Ground on pretty much all the other social networks. And you can find me making jokes like holding out a calendar and telling people your days are numbered. Get it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's me. I also want to remind everybody this. I want to send people out with a meme that I was sent. People on the radio can't see this, but it's a wait, it's all referenced, always has been. That was sent to me by Eric Hodson. So.
And what was our final radio numbers?
47804.
47804. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening out there on Indie Volt Radio. You can get a hold of Indie Volt Radio through indievolt.com. We will be back Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. for the Livewire podcast. Monday nights, also on Indie Volt, Eric Hodson, who was on earlier today, and Michael Oden host It Came From Webtoons, where they talk about digital comics. Then there's the Tuesday night Livewire show, like I mentioned. Then Wednesday nights, the Indie Princess and Daphne Lage and Meredith Logren, MC Geekgasm, which is a show about geekery and comics media, mainly from a female perspective. That's at Wednesday at 9 p.m. All of these times are Eastern Standard Time. Then Thursday morning, Varian and I also host the Breakfast Buzz, where we try to wake up Thursday morning and talk about comics. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. Russ getting a call.
It's my heart monitor giving out.
Yeah, there we go. And then again, we will be back next Sunday. We're not sure how many of us will be back. Maybe all of us. You never know. For another edition of Sunday Funnies, where we try our best to talk about the more lighthearted and whimsical side of things. We got into a little bit of everything again today. A little off topic. If there was a topic, we were off it. So, but we do this every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And we thank you very much for listening. Any last words from anyone?
Great show.
Yeah, sorry about the phone call.
Not a problem. You can get a hold of me. I'm Randy Zimmerman on Facebook. You can get a hold of me on Twitter, though I'm not up there very often. And again, I'm part of the Indie Volt Radio network. So we're going to go out the same way we came in with our opening. And we will see everyone soon. Stay healthy, everyone. Take care. Thanks so much for listening.
See ya.
Doodles
See
for
ya.
John.
See you next Sunday. Take care.
What you've accomplished.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked?